Hi, Niners. So it's another day again for us to discuss a different topic. So this time we are going to have the speaking, which is one of the subtests in your examination for the IELTS. Speaking is normally separated from your listening, reading, and writing. Okay, and many of the students who took the examination before were able to get their target scores of at least 6.5 or 7. Okay, so it's very possible also for you to have the same and even have higher than that. Okay, and speaking compared to the writing is it's more informal and you have all the freedom to say everything. Unlike in the writing that you are much more restricted and limited when it comes to your word usage, to your expression. But here in the speaking, you can be yourself, okay? In fact, you have to be as natural, as conversational, and as casual as possible, okay? And speaking, especially for those who are bound to US or who are only aiming for a total band score of at least 6.5, then you can take advantage of this subtest because the examiners, especially for academic, would really give at least 6.5 for the examinees. Okay. But again, that is not a reason for us to be complacent during the review. All the more, we have to be intentional in discovering the different topics and also planning how we are going to answer them in accordance with the preference of our examiners. So now let's begin. So the speaking, just like in your writing, of course, there are parameters in which you will be graded. So one of which is the fluency. And then you have your pronunciation, your lexical resource and vocabulary, and lastly, your grammatical range and accuracy. So now what is the difference between fluency and pronunciation or pronunciation and lexical resource and so on and so forth. So let's break down if how you can get at least a 7 for each of the category. To start off, let's discuss the fluency. Fluency is really a big factor. Okay, but this is also 25%. Your fluency and then the rest of the categories have equal percentage. So each accounts to a quarter. So that is 25% of your total band score. So if you're going to add them up, of course, that's 100. Okay. And fluency really is a big factor in the sense that it tells a lot about you um, being proficient in your English. Okay, so if you're not fluent, then probably there's something wrong with your idea generation or your pronunciation itself or your word usage. So there can be a lot of factors for that. Okay, but do not worry because fluency can still be improved over time. Maybe for you, that's a struggle. And let me just reassure you that there's no need for you to be disheartened because you still have ample time to prepare for your examination. All you need to do is just have yourself well acquainted with the different topics. And the good thing with this is we already have the application. So there is a mobile app. So you can use that for smartphones or iPhones or even for Androids. It's available actually. So you can download that application. It's called the IELTS Speaking Assistant. So in this application, all the possible topics that will come out in your examination are provided. So you're actually very lucky, unlike to those who took the examination previously, because during their time, they did not have this application. So you're very blessed that you have this as your resource. And this time, it is not impossible for you to get at least a 7 because you already have the application and there's no excuse for you not to pass the exam. Okay. So to be specific, the fluency is the rare repetition or self-correction. So if there are words that you are probably confused, okay, try to minimize the repetitions of those, okay, especially the self-correction. So if there's something that you're not sure of, it's better that you have a disclaimer to the examiner. Like, for example, this is a quite difficult topic, or whoa, this is the first time that I've heard this question. Let me just think for a while. So I can make some disclaimers to the examiner so that at least you have set the expectations. Okay, that the examiner would not expect that you can answer right away. So that's also the good thing. But you have to be flexible, okay? You have to be wise in how and when you are going to use those, okay? So that's your backup plan, if ever, just to avoid self corrections. Because the reason why we have self corrections is we answer even if we're not sure, or we answer even if we have not heard the questions correctly. So those are the possible factors of such. Okay. So for that to be avoided, then you have to listen very well to the examiner for the question and you need to brainstorm. So you have to take as much time as you can, but not too much. Okay, just take your time in buffering, okay, in generating ideas, but not too long. All right? Because anyway, when you give your answers, you will just be needing at least a minute, yeah, at least